fact of the matter is that nowadays we are siphoned off into our own age groups, and there is very little contact between these age groups, which is an incredibly unnatural situation. Obviously, most human beings, for most of our early history, were constantly coming into contact with the people of the tribe or the village, or even the small city or town, meaning that we had apprenticeships with older adults. We had a huge extended network of grandparents, cousins, representing almost every single age group and age cohort. And I think part of the reason right now we see so much generational resentment is that we simply don't know each other. We don't know why we do the things we do. We don't know what we really believe. And so we get our idea of the other generations from rage bait on the internet. Meaning, basically, let's say you're a young kid in high school. You interact with your parents. Maybe you see your friends' parents a little bit, but it's not like they're in any kind of place to really influence you. You just say hi in the kitchen and then you run off into your friend's room. And then you see your teachers. But even with teachers, the large majority of teachers, at least in America, are women between 30 and say 65. So basically, as a kid today, if you're a teenager in that time where you really need the influence of lots of adults, you need role models. Instead of role models, unless you're lucky enough to have like an older sibling or a cool older cousin in their 20s, you have no access to anything but your peers who are also angry 15-year-olds who don't know anything about the world, your parents who you're rebelling against, your teachers who you're rebelling against, and who, if you're a male, are really nothing like you. I mean, these are women in their 40s. They're the farthest things from male teenagers. And that's it. That is your small society in your daily life. Your parents, your teachers, your friends. That's it. You don't have access to anyone else. And actually, our culture, for some good reasons, like it's understandable, has made it very hard for there to be any intergenerational communication. Because if someone in their 30s hangs out with or in any way does anything with like someone that's younger than them, it's seen as creepy, which in many cases it can be. That's totally understandable. But the side effect of that is it means that no person in their 20s or 30s ever does anything with kids, even kids they know. There's no interaction there at all. And what are the consequences of this? The consequences are healthy young adulthood isn't modeled whatsoever. You only see your parents who probably watch TV and go to work and are kind of in a sad, modern style of middle age where they don't do much. So all you want to do is not be like them. Very few teenagers actively admire their parents and want to be like them. They want to be unlike them. And so, who do they have access to? Who are the role models, the cool older kids, like the 20-somethings, that every young person does look up to? It's celebrities. That's who they do have access to. They have access to interviews, music videos, celebrity gossip. And so, what they have to look to are the most extreme people who in America are largely living in a very small area of Los Angeles, California. So all you have as a young person is, again, your teachers, your parents, and a small group of weird celebrities living in Los Angeles, California. And that's how you form your identity. And so actually, I don't think the influence of these celebrities can be underestimated. These few people have an outsized influence on all of these kids all over the world because these kids don't have any other 20-something, 30-somethings to look up to listen to see as culturally influential. So of course, they run from their parents, who they naturally rebel against, into the arms of this celebrity culture that's presenting them with, this is what youth is, this is what you should aspire to, these are the kinds of decisions you make. And it's an interesting point that every generation makes its culture for the previous generation. So let's take a pop star like Post Malone. He's like maybe 30 now, but he's making culture for the teenagers. So each generation is pushing what they believe back one generation, but only through a very limited lens of the people that go to Los Angeles or New York and make it and be in a place where they can influence large groups of people. Do you see how this leads to a lot of cultural dysfunction? We have no one to learn from. And I mean, it really, I think, is as simple as that. The kids, if they don't read books and they don't have old people, middle-aged people, kind of old people, youngish people, all to learn from, to learn about the different stages of life, to learn about the different perspectives, to learn from the old person what it was like going to fight in a war, to learn from a 20-something what it's kind of like to get a job or to form a relationship. They just don't have any of this information. They don't have anyone to learn from. All they have are TikTok brain rots of these very small group of people who do push out constantly for the sake of profit, not because they actually have a stake in the child's life, but because they want to make money as an influencer. They push out their message nonstop from wherever they happen to live, and they just kind of try to give that out to everyone on earth, whether or not it actually applies to them. And so it's no wonder that the kids are lost. They don't know what a good example is. They don't know what to do with their lives. They don't know what a happy, healthy adulthood looks like, and so they don't believe that one actually can exist. It's a very dire situation, and I think this isn't even talked about as an issue. And this is what led me to want to make this video is my friends who I talked to this about were like, yeah, it'd be super weird. Like a 30-year-old should never hang out with a teenager. Like their mind immediately jumps to that creepy idea that that's the only reason that an older person could ever possibly have a good influence on a younger person. Like it's completely insane. And honestly, this would be automatically solved if we were living as we did in the past in a large extended family that lived close to each other. But if you don't have a large family, which most people don't now, and they don't live close to one another, which most people don't now, the situation is this. Kids are isolated from everyone except their peers, and they don't know who to listen to, what to emulate, nothing. Do you see how this could be a problem? That's all.